We're live. What happened?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
We're live. Hello again.
Oh,
We're
hi.
having technical difficulties tonight. I don't know what's going on. So we're back. How you all doing? Welcome to the Seekers Chronicles Paranormal Historians, where history meets the paranormal. So how's everybody in the audience? How's everybody today? Um, how are you guys doing? How was your
Good.
weekend? Good.
Awesome. How about
That's
you, Kim?
good. That's
Yep,
awesome.
good,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Bye. Good night.
All right.
Oh
Good
boy.
chat.
No, it was good. I had a great weekend. My husband and I have not been away together alone for like 20 years, literally. Many of you know we have a daughter who has autism that we, sort of care for together and sort of tag team, right? Because it's difficult for anyone else to really watch her. So we actually had my other daughter watch her, and we went away for the weekend, and we decided to put some money back into New Jersey and do the old fashioned thing and go to Atlantic City. So we went to the beach on Saturday, took a walk, he showed
Wow.
me how to do some gambling because I had never been. Can you believe I've never been to a casino?
What?
So it
Really?
was kind of fun because I had never been there. Like it
That's
was
cool.
just, we sort of did the cheesy thing. We went
Mhm.
to the old fashioned honeymoon place of Atlantic City, and we had a great time. We just, we laughed, we had time together. It was really, really nice for our 30th anniversary. So can't
Yeah.
beat
That's
it.
awesome.
Well deserved. Well deserved. And our
Yes.
Italian side, Anthony and my Italian side is literally sitting here like, you've never been to a casino?
I know.
What
Like, I grew up in a casino.
hey, how that happened?
I don't get it.
What's going
That's
on?
funny.
Adam's never been to one as well. This
Nope,
is
I haven't. And but my husband has, obviously. Obviously my husband's Italian. But Kim,
right.
I've been
right,
waiting
right.
all day to get to you because today's a big day.
Well, I'm actually going to start this because you brought up the casino, and this is to everybody here. I will give you my secret tip on the casino.
Oh, I love it.
Play the SWAT game Enchanted Unicorn. It has never let me down. Not yet
Enchanted
to
Unicorn.
this day.
Enchanted Unicorn.
So look for
Oh, wait.
Enchanted Unicorn. It has been, and I've done it the old school way where it was like the pull, and I've also done the new school way, which is like the all electronics. And
love it.
both versions, I have never ever failed me. So I highly
Is
recommend.
that the nickel slots? Is that the
What?
Wait,
nickel slots?
Enchanted Unicorn? Aren't
No,
all unicorns enchanted?
The
yes.
nickel slots. I remember those.
Yeah. Yeah. You pull and yeah, it's great. I highly enjoyed it. Yeah. So, I mean, welcome to like week 2 of the year of the fire horse. I mean, if we have any perspective of how the year of the fire horse is going to go, I think we are in it. Again, it's characterized by fast changes, fast changes, things shifting, moving, passion, things being done without even thinking about it. So I in my Qigong classes, I have a class that specifically teaches how to ground your energy with the earth energy and water Qigong flows to balance this fire energy. Highly recommend that. But so we've also had some other fun stuff. I don't know if you guys have heard that there has been a parade of planets. I don't know how many times I have heard the term parade of planets. So a lot of the planets and the moon were all in alignment, and you could literally see them like at the beginning at like sunset. You could literally see them parading down at the same level of the sunset, like the same kind of area. Really cool. I didn't see it, but I heard it was hard to see in our area, which, with we're outside
Yeah.
of New York City. There's so much light pollution and there's so many planes. It's really hard to see. But also we just had a blood moon, which is debatable, happening this morning. Yeah, so a blood moon is a lunar eclipse. And the reason why it's red, I've heard two different reasons of why it's red, other than like it being, metaphysical reasons for why it's red. But the level of it, the sunlight is reflecting off of our atmosphere. And so that can change it. But also the light angles, it's literally, so if you can think of like the prism of colors, the low light angle is red, the infrared and red coloration. So that also, as the light comes around our Earth and intersects on the moon on the other side, it just aligns up with the red light frequencies. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. We've got a lot of we won't see that again until, well, we won't see it again for a while, but 2028 is the next blood moon.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So,
this morning.
when I knew I'd seen that picture of the blood moon, I said, I have to show that a little bit there.
That's
So
right.
that's pretty cool.
Yes, it is an interesting omen in these times.
I love it.
A lot of interesting stuff happening these times. So
Getting right into
Hey,
it.
I warned us all 2 weeks ago when I said,
You
get
did.
ready, buckle up. We are going into the year of the fire horse. So
She
the
did.
fire horse.
So don't say you weren't warned by Kimm.
Nah, it's
actually
cool.
in China, there is a lower birth rate this year because most people don't want to have, they believe that having children this time of year, they will come out to be very rebellious and difficult to handle and stuff. So actually the birth rate goes down on a year like this.
As opposed to typical children who are rebellious. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I don't know. Any more rebellion, I would say I'm out.
I was born a year of the tiger, so
Whoa, so is my brother.
I'm a Leo
Really?
and I'm the year of the tiger. So
I'm a monkey.
Something tells me you are feisty, Anthony.
fire signs all the way. So,
Yeah.
thank you for that, Kim.
Yes, thank you,
I
Kim.
appreciate that. I really do, because I look forward to that now.
Yeah,
It's become
I
like
mean,
a segment now.
stuff I normally keep myself up to date on. I keep myself up to date on earthquakes, volcanoes. There's a mud volcano that's blowing up also right now. Solar storms, the sun and the moon. So this is stuff I normally keep up on a daily
We got to
basis.
start another podcast with just you talking about this.
I know.
Yeah, but we're here for the paranormal. We're here for the paranormal.
No,
we're
we're
here-
here for the paranormal.
Yeah.
Come for the paranormal. Get
The
the
supernatural.
yeah.
You like my title now? Supernatural spectator.
I do
No.
love it.
I'm not an
I love
investigator. I'm a spectator.
Ooh.
Everybody's spectators. So
Anthony and I were on a podcast on Friday night, and he was talking about that, being a supernatural spectator.
yeah, because spirit doesn't
I
give you
was
what they
on,
don't want to give you.
Yeah, I
You
was on the
spectator.
witching hour last night. The witching hour with Frosty.
Oh, the
and-
witching hours. One of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was a really nice
Yeah,
time.
Yes.
they're good people. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we
have
talked
to give them I'm gonna have them on a guest.
Two of my
eventually.
faves.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love Jennie.
we need to
and
have them
Frosty.
on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You probably liked all his facts and everything. So
Well,
I love
actually,
his
we
weird
talked
news.
so much about mediumship, and we talked about channeling, and we talked about like really deep stuff because Jen and I really went into like the nuances of it. So that was really fun.
that's cool. Well, we have a guest tonight. We have
We
a
do.
fantastic guest. I've been following this guy since 95, 96, something like that.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
I've been
there's
following him a
everybody.
long time, and I just got to recently meet him not too long ago. So he's been around like, he's one of the old G's.
The
The
OG.
OGs.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He started back, a long time ago, and so Jennie, do you want to
Yes.
announce?
Yes.
Well,
We
guess.
didn't quickly hide everybody in the chat. I don't know where everybody is tonight. Hopefully they're coming in a little bit late, finishing dinner or whatever. I noticed some names missing, so hopefully everybody's
Yeah.
okay.
Everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I think we just saw each other in Gettysburg, right? At the Parajam. Did we see each other?
Yes, we've seen each other. That's where we talked about getting him on the show.
Okay.
I used to see him at the New Jersey Para Unity and some other stuff. So,
Right.
okay, you want to
Okay.
announce?
Anyway, yeah, special guest tonight, episode 73, if you can believe it. Tonight we have paranormal researcher, author, lecturer, and demonologist Dave Giuliano. Welcome to the show.
Hey, here he is.
Hey, everybody.
Hi,
Yeah,
Dave.
I
Welcome.
The old-
Ignore all the junk. I just thought it looked better than the blurry, pseudo background back there. But
No,
Yeah.
I like it. I
pay
like
no
it. I like
attention to that.
yeah.
Did you
Well,
see a ghost back
That's
there?
why
though?
I shut my little light off. You want to see what's behind me? I got quite a few years of equipment too. Not as much as you do. Not as much as you do, but
I have Rubbermaids full of equipment that
Mhm.
just don't use anymore. Parts.
Oh wow.
he's also the He's the one the ghost hunting store. He's the original.
Yes. I figured we would
Original.
discuss that at length. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just giving you. You said a couple of things.
Yeah.
So,
I know. Yeah.
Dave, we seen each other at Gettysburg. Like I said, I met you a couple of times, and we really didn't get to talk or nothing. So because you're always busy doing what you're doing, and I'm always talking to a million people also. So I know, and I started following you since Shadowlands.
Wow.
And that's why I said I go back that far. I think it was 96. I got my first computer, and the first thing I went on my computer, I'm looking for ghost hunting things. And I come up with this thing, Shadowland. And Shadowland had all these stories of all these people that went on investigations or just stories of what they experienced back then. And 96, you know how it was, a little taboo. Like we weren't allowed to talk about it so much. I know in my part of the world, we couldn't talk about it much. Here I find your somebody's growling. It's not my stomach. My part where we couldn't talk about it. So when I got to see your thing, I'm like, people actually go and investigate. Because I was doing it way before that with dowsing rods and all the other stuff and everything. And I've been experiencing stuff since I was a kid, back in the 60s. And so when I came across your website, I was like, this is cool, And matter of fact, I actually wrote stories on it. Matter of fact, I went on it to look back to see if I remember. I don't remember any of the names. You got too much stuff on there to go back that far. But haunted locations, I actually put a little haunted location on there in Astoria, and it's still on it.
Oh, wow.
The experience I had.
That was, I think, 94. I started it in 94, back when the web was just black and white. There was no images, there was no background, it was just text. And I did the same thing. I went on looking for ghosts, cryptids, all that kind of stuff, and there was nothing. So I basically put up my story, what I experienced, and invited people to, and see what happened. I didn't expect anything. I think right now, we stopped updating it, maybe 10 years ago. But I think there's 16,000 stories up there right now. And we got a lot more that were, that we decided for various reasons not to put up. But so probably at least double or triple that were actually, submitted. So it was meant to be a safe space for people to go without being ridiculed or anything like that until, their experiences. So it was more for me than anything else. And then it just grew into, something else that I would have never imagined.
Yeah. I mean, when I got on it was like 96, 97. I got my computer in 95. First thing I started looking for all kinds of stuff. Then I came across it. Then it was like doing stories, and I was on it every night, sometimes too early in the morning. Computer, we could call it like we got on the computer. It was like next thing you know, the sun's coming up. It's like, holy cow, how that happened?
Yeah.
That's because a lot of stuff I was reading on you. I was like, this is wild. Like that kind of opened me up, and I actually started my team back in '96 because of your site, Shadowlands. I was like, that was so cool. That's why I started it, because I started seeing people actually doing this, and like you said, it was a safe area that I could go on and put my stories and say things. So that was pretty cool. Thank you. I'm saying
Uh,
thank you.
more and more.
So Anthony and Dave, what is this? It's a website? I don't know what you're talking about. So there's a website.
All right, I gotta go. She never heard of the Shadowlands. I'm leaving.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
I've never heard
She's
of
very
this.
young. She's
She's
very,
12.
very young. We're
She's
gonna
12
forgive
years
her.
old. What does she know?
That's what is amazing.
She's just
though.
a kid.
I was
Sort of.
standing at an event with I was talking to Jason Hawes, and Steve Gonzalez walked up, and we had never met officially, and Jason introduced me as the Shadowlands guy. And Steve got like down on his knees and was like bowing to me.
Yeah.
Heather Taddy found out in an event, and she's like, "Look, I found the Shadowlands guy. I didn't know I was here all along with him." And then you get a point where you can see where that gap was, where we stopped updating it, where it fall out of the search engines and the TV shows started coming, so people weren't reading stories. But yes, the Shadowlands.net. It was back when search this is predating Google and all that, but when the search engines were first, like Yahoo was one of the earlier ones. There was no category for paranormal. There was no category for any of this stuff. So they had to create categories just for my website. I was the first Bigfoot page, first, cryptids page, world histories, ghosts, ghost hunting, haunted places, all that. So that was neat. Now looking back, it's neat because you saw really like the birth of like everything. But then just like, the older stuff just gets more modern stuff. People want it instantly. They can go on YouTube and watch and listen to a story as opposed to going, and reading, pages. But back then,
right.
option, if you wanted your fix of, ghost stories that weren't in books, I mean, the internet was the only place to turn to.
Yeah.
And can people still post their stories on it?
We kept it open for a long time for people to still post, and the link's still there actually. But people nowadays, I guess the mindset is, if I put my story up there, I won't become a millionaire because of it, and they'll steal the rights to it and all that. We noticed once the TV shows, especially, and then every ghost hunter wanted their own TV show. The stories went from getting thousands a month submitted, on the busiest times of the year, and then at least hundreds any other month, down to like almost none. And some months we did get none, 0. So right now, I think we probably get about 2 a year.
Oh, you still get them? Okay.
But gosh, that's such like a resource to have to do. I mean, I would be curious about doing like statistics on the stories. You know what I mean? Because it's such a large database of people's firsthand accounts. You can do epidemiology on that kind of stuff to figure out, but just to kind of be like, what people are experiencing all over the world and how are they experiencing it. That's fascinating. That's a lot of stories.
I'm looking at the locations now, and you have, Albany to all the different states, some people in other countries. Every state has something going on. And not even states, it's pretty much cities, because you start alphabetically from A all the way down. And I'm looking at the page right now, and I'm just like, of course mine's there, so I'm so Astoria, Queens, footsteps following you down the hallway of the office area, deep voice heard from a man in the hallway, people heard talking from vents when there's nobody in the building, and a black woman in a white dress seen sitting in at one of the desks at the entrance of the lobby of the place. I'm not going to mention the place. Well, I should. It's called American Museum of the Moving Image, and that's an historic. and I seen all this stuff. I was a night security guard, and it was me and somebody else, and it got to a point that we're supposed to every 45 minutes to an hour, so whatever. You're supposed to walk around, and it was like a watch key that you have to check every location before you walk into one of the floors, and then you check out on the other floor so they know how much time and if you actually did the floors, whatever. And my partner, guy, football player, front line, 400 pounds, big freaking guy, tall, and he used to play football front line, in college. And here I am, and he's like, I'm not going up there. The Exorcist doll was up there, the original one from the movie, and the head used to move by itself, but there was no electronics, there was nothing electrical to it. So, it was an awesome place. But let's get, and I put that on it, and I'm looking at it, it's still on there.
Kimm, one of the things that I use now when I'm dealing with clients is kind of what you were talking about with the database kind of thing. I have so many different stories and experiences that you're able to pull out a common thread and see what this is typical or atypical of this type of haunting. And that's, I think that if we were going to resurrect the page, that would be definitely something that we would keep in mind to somehow make it searchable or something where you could look for different things and then focus. 'Cause I think of like shadow people and all the different things like that people talk about, that you go on YouTube now and you watch the videos about shadow people, but when you go back and read real encounters with them, they don't match up. They're not the same thing as what people are talking about. It's sensationalized now. Everything's a demon, all that stuff. When in actuality, they were more silhouettes, and people could see more distinct shapes, like a hat, a dress, something that was more or less the spirit was manifesting, but not coming through in color. You're just catching the shadow of it. And that is predominant, not the other part of, it's this nasty, crazy thing that's chasing you through the hallways and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Shadow people, all demons and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, I had experienced shadow people, and none of them really did that to me. I don't know. I've been doing this a long time too. So, I mean, maybe there are some, but, I know you're a demonologist, so you would know better than I guess, with shadow people. They're not, are they demonic? And some might be, some might not be, or they're just shadow, outlines of spirits trying to manifest.
I kind of look at it this way. The shadow person could be demonic. It could be a human spirit, but so can the little boy that's at the end of the hallway. That could be a human spirit or demonic. So why pick on the shadow people? I mean, you can't just isolate it by one thing and say, oh, that's bad. And I get it, because it's a dark shape, and that anything dark, that automatically you think negative. But that's part of the trap. You get something positive and lures you in until it's you realize too late.
Yeah.
So how does one determine the difference? How would you determine the difference?
Not by first glance, definitely. We go in and when we're going in and doing something, we're getting a questionnaire from the client. We're talking to them, and we go out and visit them. And this is all before we decide we're going to do anything yet, because each case is different. It's a different spirit, it's a different location, it's a different person. So no matter how similar they may be, you can't just, there's no cookie cutter approach. You have to go in there and do all that. And then we kind of decide what we're going to do first based on the specific case. So there's not one way that you can say, okay, this is the people who go on, they look at something and right away, oh, that's bad. That's an impossible thing to say. You cannot get anything just from one aspect of it. Even I know people out there that claim to do this. They'll do like a phone interview. Well, phone interview is great. So it's a written questionnaire, because then you're going to get them writing other stuff down that they may not say out loud. And now you have something that they've written that you can go back and talk to them in person and get the rest of the details, or see anything that deviates from that story. Was there an embellishment in there? Was there stuff they left out? Why do you think they left that stuff out?
Yeah.
And then you get to see body language, eye movements, who's interacting with who's turned away, facing, cold shouldering one of the family members whenever they talk, all those different things that can indicate stuff that maybe they're not verbalizing, they're not saying out loud. There's just so many things that all go into it. And even then we might get to that point and go, it could be either or. So at that point, then we will probably do a house blessing. And a house blessing is a minor exorcism. It's the same exact thing. The wording's almost identical. I know the Episcopal Church, if you ever have the opportunity to listen to what they're saying when they're walking around, they're casting out evil. Just like a baptism. If you were baptized, I think it's like before the 1980s, there was actually a section in the baptism that said exorcism. You were being exorcised and cleansed by the water, so you could start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So we're exposed to that stuff all the time, but we don't pay attention. But the blessing then may flush something out. There may be a reaction that, without a doubt, that's something that's it's non-human. It's not it's not reacting in a way human spirit would. And even then, you have to be careful. You go into a house where maybe there's some Jewish spirits there, and you go in and do Christian house blessing. Right. So, and then right afterwards, some things get broke. Glass flies across the room and all that, and people are screaming, "Oh my God, it's a demon!" It's like, well, no, it's not. It's a pissed off Jewish person that you just did a Christian blessing in their house. So they might be a little upset about that and decide to show their disapproval. So it really gets to that like finite little nitty gritty. I have discernment. So myself and one of the other people on my team. So I may see the demons. I can see stuff all the time. But that doesn't mean what I'm seeing is what's manifesting in the house. I could have something just pops up for me, just that I see, but that's not the demon that's doing anything there. Maybe it's from next door. Maybe it's from out in the backyard. Mind its own business, but it knows I can see it, so it'll come by. So I can't even go off of just based on what I'm seeing. It has to be all those factors all put together and come up with come to the point where that it's the demonic outweighs any other possibility. When you get to things that aren't possible by humans or human spirits, then you kind of know. But a lot of times they don't want to pick a fight. They don't want to go toe to toe. They want to go back to being left alone. So quite often a house blessing will show nothing at first, and maybe that the activity disappears and everyone thinks it's okay. And months later, it starts back up again, because then everyone's lulled into that false sense of security, and it's all good now. And it's a lot more complicated than it seems it would be, and the way it's portrayed out there. There are cases that I've gone on that I still to this day couldn't tell you one way or the other, because it's that complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Does it matter? I mean, like one way or another, like as long as you get to the right, like we talked a lot on this show about getting to a result, right? So if you get to the result you're looking for, does it really matter?
No, it doesn't. And that even goes for when people are, people will right away go to like the medical or the mental health part of things. And even with that, if there's something now that they feel better because someone listened to them and someone believed them, and now they're more comfortable, and that's all that they really wanted. Then case solved. That's all there is. I mean, I've sat down with people and got them to, we'll do a lot of looking around when we're there in person. And one of the things I look at is the medicine bottles and the date they were prescribed. because you can tell right away that whether they're taking the medicine as prescribed. And if they're not, I will bring the bottles out to the table where we're all sitting around and saying, hey, it's obvious you're not taking them as prescribed. And I'll tell you what, you take the pills and follow all the doctor's orders for 2 months. And if all this activity is still happening in 2 months, I'll be right back out here. And most of the time, you never hear from them again. Now, whether they decide to say, screw this, they're never going to listen to me, or they actually took the medicine that works, I don't know. But I like to hope that, they listen, because I sat down and listened to them and I didn't look at them like they're crazy. Because people who have mental health issues are just as susceptible to, having spirits mess with them, or even more susceptible to the darker spirits coming after them, because they're an easier target. So I pay more attention to that. I know people that in the field that will not handle any case that someone has, even like the slightest inclination, they have anxiety or depression, they won't take that kind of case. Because it's still viewed with when you say mental illness right away, you got people, whether their eyes are rolling or their eyes in their head are rolling, you got a lot of people out there that still look at it funny, and well, that's just that's just someone crazy. And
That's a shame. That's a shame.
The clients will start out sometimes, they're like, you're going to think I'm crazy. And I'm like, you may be batshit crazy, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to believe what you're saying and what you're experiencing. I try to use humor to like break the ice a little bit. And so they understand. It's like, hey, I have anxiety and depression too. What medications are you on? Oh, I've been on that before. It didn't work too good for me, but I'm glad it's working for you. That kind of like humanization of stuff. And letting them know that being open and vulnerable to regular everyday stuff, as opposed to just saying like, oh, I experience ghosts too, I know what that's like. That goes so far. But when you can relate to them on another level, you're going to get a lot more ways to solve a problem and come to a resolution, because you're getting stuff that other people are simply just ignoring because of maybe a stigma attached to it. I don't mind sitting down and talking about depression with people. That's
well,
I mean,
it's an interesting
20 years ago you didn't, but even now it's still stigmatized.
And it actually, what's coming up to me is like, well, the chicken or the egg. Are they depressed because they're in an environment that is potentially a negative environment? Doesn't necessarily have to be an entity at all. But are they in depression because the energy around them is depressive, or spirit is depressive, or did their depression come first and then the spirits were attracted to that? It's I don't know if we know the whole time. And I think it goes both ways, but that's interesting.
See, I would hire you based just on that statement alone, because that takes years for people to get to that point where they realize that you have to look at that. We get things like people drinking, a lot, and people will go, well, they were drunk, that's why they're seeing these things. Well, when did they start drinking heavily?
Right.
Before the activity, or after and because of the activity? You have to look at all that, and if you don't, you're missing one whole possibility and one whole side of it.
Absolutely.
So you really have to do that chicken and egg kind of on every little aspect of it to see what is the cause and effect, what's the catalyst, and if you don't, you miss so much stuff. That's what I mean. It's so deep, you have to dig into stuff. It's time consuming, and people are impatient. They want you to come in and wave a magic wand.
Oh, sure.
And get rid of everything. And if you have $2,000 or so to spend, there's someone that will come in and wave a magic wand. And it won't do anything, but they'll feel better because they paid for something, so it must be better. I come across that a lot too, and it's a shame, but
I know as an investigator doing private homes, and you go and they go, how much you charging? I said, nothing. And they're like, really? And they look at you like, are you for real? What are you doing? It's like they have to pay for it to think that it's going to be better than what you're doing for free. And you're going in and you're giving them clarification if there's something there or not. But they think, and I had come across, even with my drawings, oh, how much? I'm like, they're not for sale because, this is my personal experiences. I'll tell you the story behind it. They're not for sale. It's like my own personal thing, but they feel that, I don't know, if they don't pay for it, it's not good, and I've been seeing that
it's not quality. It's like if you went to Macy's and bought a shirt, it's the same exact shirt that you could buy at Walmart for half price. There are a lot of people that we know would go to Macy's and buy it every time because it has, you get to take it home in the Macy's bag. It must be better, even though you can show that they're identical. And that's kind of what we deal with too, where people think they're getting a better person, a better value or whatever, because they're paying for it. And unfortunately,
Well, I will also
very
say
questionable, but
yeah, I will say we come from a society that wants an exchange, but there's a lot of people that it makes them uncomfortable to not give something back to you as a thank you. Yeah, a lot of people actually are uncomfortable, not necessarily that they don't value the service, but they just genuinely almost feel like the service is not reciprocated between, not that that's true, but it may feel that it's just not reciprocated because they don't have
I have people like that too. I just say, just coffee and a piece of cake or cookie.
Exactly.
Or,
that's
all I want.
Pizza.
Coffee, a piece of cake. That's it. I don't want no care. I don't want no money. Just, feed me. Hey, it costs more.
That's usually what we go with. We go with the feed me, or
great.
you got if you guys can bottled water or whatever. That's that kind of exchange because it's still something physical there.
Yeah,
that we're exchanging. So I prefer that. There's people that have offered us money, and we're 501c3 nonprofit, and I still would rather not take that. There's donations of places they could put that money to better use them with us.
Right.
I've had people so insistent that I finally said, could you make a donation, to the Historical Society, because they worked with us, that kind of thing. And they felt good about that. But I know what you're saying. Sometimes they just need that transaction.
Yeah.
But under no, and you can explain it. And I find most clients will understand after you explain that it's a better thing that we're not taking the money. And why. Most people will catch on, but if they really don't, I'm like, how about we make a donation, to the Historical Society or whatever, society might be involved in what we're doing.
That's a great idea too.
I like that. Definitely like that.
Idea. Yeah.
Donations.
I had a very specific question. I don't want to forget, Dave, what you were talking before about starting. You said you begin with the house blessing, right? What was that? Are you beginning with that as a diagnostic tool, or are you beginning with that thinking this might work?
We're hoping that it works.
Okay.
That would be nice. If it's dealing with something that's negative, even negative, not demonic, the chances of it clearing everything out is not likely. Every time you get a surprise where maybe something, it was just an initial beginning of something, and you're able to kind of clean the house out, take charge. They follow up with what they need to do to maintain that. And then that can work. But if stuff's already underway, coming in and trying to clean it up by just doing an initial cleansing basically isn't going to solve the problem. It's going to more flush out areas or potentially spirits. I mean, Ed Warren used to call it religious provocation. And, that pretty much is. You're bringing in, this. If I'm doing it, it's Christian based. Now I have people in the group that are Wiccan and, other religions. So depending on what the client is, we would, use that. But for me, I'm using holy water and, blessed salt and things like that. And if there's something negative there, sometimes that will just provoke it. Whether it's something that, a growl or something, it's not going to be anything crazy, but it's enough that, we know, hey, when we went to that closet, did you hear anything? And that kind of stuff. So we know now, okay, well, maybe we come back and we'll just, we'll focus in that room. Maybe we do something that's more direct, like come in and do the same thing, but instead of doing the entire house, do just that closet. So focus all the energy in one spot and then see what happens. And it really is, you're whittling it down, hoping you can find something that's going to like stick and work. Because like I said, there's no cookie cutter approach. And the people that go in with the same thing every time and do the same exact thing, like earlier I said that there's no case it's the same. Different spirits, different people, different location. So you can't expect the same thing to work in all those different locations. And a lot of times the spirits will just leave. I've heard them on the roof stomping above me in one house. And we're doing the blessing inside, knowing that, 48 hours to a week, something like that, they're going to be right back inside again doing what they want to do. So they can keep going out in the yard and we can keep coming in over and over again. Obviously that isn't working. So now trying to come up with a different, game plan. Otherwise, it's just an endless cycle. But some people will do that because they're not taking that time to, again, like to think things out. And I call it peeling the onion. And my investigators laugh at me every time I say it because I say it too much. But it really is that you're going layer by layer by layer. And it does take time. But if you go quickly and do something and you make a mistake, there are severe consequences that can be paid. There are people's lives really do hang in the balance.
It affected.
When I teach my classes, I got a class coming up in Gettysburg, I think, at the orphanage.
I
when we were
see
at the Parajam last year, I talked to them, and in March, I'm giving a demonology class there. I kind of go into a lot of the details of people I've known that were demonologists and priests that are no longer with us.
And the classes?
Yes. Oh, no, that's interviews. That's another podcast.
Oh, okay. I'll take that off because I seen you advertise it on your website, on your Facebook, that you're doing something.
Yeah, I have it on. I have Facebook, and I think the orphanage, the Ghostly Images, I think they put it up too. And Nick from Black, I'm going to say the group wrong. He's going to kill me. Black Lantern, right?
Black Lantern. I keep on saying Black Label. I'm thinking of Johnny Walker. I'm sorry.
Yes, Black Lantern.
Black Lantern. He was advertising it for me too. I like people to know that there are consequences beyond what they would think. Because sometimes the movies let you off easy. Honestly, they don't show what can happen to people, years down the line. One of the people that was training me early on was he worked with the Warrens, and he was in New York City, so he was like one of their area investigators there, and he had a nervous breakdown, and he never did anything paranormal. I heard from him twice just to let me know he was alive, and that was it. But he wanted no other, he didn't want to get into a conversation where I'm asking, how you doing, or anything that would come up to remind him of what was going on or what he used to do and things like that. So we're very fragile beings, and it doesn't take much to be pushed over the edge if you're not prepared. And he was prepared, and he got pushed over the edge. So I've met priests that stopped being priests after dealing with cases. I had a priest that was on my team that we were doing the third exorcism on a person that didn't want the stuff to go. He summoned it to begin with. But it was 3 different priests. They all wanted to see what they could do and give it a shot. So he was in our group. We were doing it also to help his girlfriend because she was being tormented too. So afterwards, the guy asked for a confession, and that has to be one-on-one. You can't do that in a group setting. So he took confession, and the next day he didn't believe in God anymore, and
Wow.
totally started working for the other side. He was going around in the reverse colors, with his, the cassock and the hat and everything, going to Catholic schools, trying to recruit teenagers and middle schoolers to his
Really?
church, because his God was much better than the one they're worshiping.
Oh,
So they
wow.
actually had signs and flyers hanging up all around. It was all around South Jersey. So, and then ultimately he took his life.
Oh,
So that was all from, this guy had been a priest for 11 years. He was in training to be an exorcist, where he would get the official, the official document saying, yeah, here's your driver's license, kind of deal through the church. And whatever was said in that 5 minutes was enough to convince him that, God doesn't exist, but the devil does. And
Wow.
it's that easy to get. That's why I'm not a fan of the people that are run around and use the term demonologist. I didn't start using that till demonologist. I didn't start using it till about like 3 or 4 years ago. I would say I worked, with negative or extreme cases, is how I used to put it. Because, when do you know you're a demonologist? Because there was people that I saw at events that when you did the math, I was on a panel with someone that said they've been doing it for 10 years. I'm like, dude, that would make you 11 years old when you started. It's like, so, if you're going to say stuff out loud, don't be stupid. Do some math in your head before you let that out.
Simple math.
It's going around and teaching people too. Setting a lot of people up, putting people in danger, and they don't know they're in danger because this guy's business card says he's a demonologist. So obviously he's trained. When I heard John Zaffis introduce me to a group of people as a demonologist, that's when I'm like, okay, I can check that off the list.
John would know.
I feel like that's someone who's been doing it a lot longer than me. That's saying, okay, you get the thumbs up, you get the approval,
right?
So, and that's when I found
He would know.
One of the best.
He would know.
Yeah.
He was trained by Ed. So
He would definitely know.
That to me was a confidence that, okay, well, if he thinks that's where I am, then I'm gonna go with that. Then
that's
fair.
Yeah, I have so many questions that are bubbling up here. My gosh. So, I'm gonna do two. I'm gonna do two questions at the same time and go for it, Dave. So I heard you earlier saying that you see the demons, and are you seeing them in your eyes externally in the place or in the location with the person attached to the person, or are you seeing them in your mind? So like for myself, I don't usually see it physically. It's usually in my mind. And then my second question is where do you think these demons come from? These extreme negative sources, where in your experience do you feel like they're coming from?
How I see them, I've been seeing spirits, regular spirits, since I was like 3 years old. And the way I always explained it is it's in the physical plane, but it's almost like there's like this little slide that overlays, almost like a hologram kind of thing, where it would overlay onto that same plane where I could see it differently. But if I'm just trying to explain it to someone, yes, I'm seeing it on a physical. I see the physical changes. And I see them all the time. I could be driving down the street and I'll see someone that, just turns and looks at me or puts their body awkwardly, and then their face kind of changes. And it's got Emily Rose, the exorcism Emily Rose has some good examples of that, where the people just are like manifesting a little bit differently.
Like possession.
Sometimes it's a different way. Sometimes it's just a facial change. Sometimes it's just maybe the aura around them turns, like jet black and super thick. It's little things like that. And then with the discernment, where on cases, sometimes I see like the true nature of what it is. I mean, someone may see a little boy and I see this, this thing. So it's not really a gift. They say it is, but I want to give it back because you can't unsee once you've seen it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it takes a lot more to, I guess, I'm watching horror movies and I'm like looking like, I've seen something like that. That's not that scary. Because you see so much more that, my wife has discernment too, and she'll draw it all out. And I show them at my class too. And, some of them are terrifying, and, but you think how many have I seen over the years that I can't go back and erase. So it's definitely air fuel. What was the second question?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for answering that. The where do you think they come from? Where do you think these I don't even want to say I don't know. It's a word beyond negative. I don't even know how to say it, but these entities, where do you think they come from?
That's a tough one because I can give you the politically correct one about, the fall of angels from heaven and, they're in hell. And
sure. Yeah. Give it all.
That's one aspect of it. Yes. But there's that, and that covers 3 of the major world religions. So, but there are other religions that see things a little bit differently. And I was a student of world religions. I see the stuff that's more common in all of them than differences. So I think we're all describing the same thing, just through different culture and different words. So a lot of the stories may not be exactly the same, but they all talk about balance. Good is nothing if there's not bad, because that would be the only thing we knew. So there has to be a balance, whether even yin yang. There's a balance, and as the yin yang symbol spins, sometimes there's more white, sometimes there's more black. It's a constant balance. The Egyptians balancing out the soul against a feather. All cultures just go back, and they've always seen that there's the duality. There's 2 sides to everything, and if there's 2 sides and one's bad, I think maybe we've come up with stories for just our belief system. So there may have been a physical battle between angels that cast them down. The whole story that you read in the Bible may be exactly that, 100% accurate. But that doesn't mean that in another religion, their story of their negative spirits may not be, may be 100% accurate too. It doesn't mean that story or the way they appeared to the different people in different cultures in different parts of the world, just because it's different doesn't mean it's different. It's just the stories are different, but the end is the same, where you have these non-human spirits that were never human that like to do bad things to people who aren't on their side. That are, because if they can knock some of the people that are good down, then there's a few less good people. And it seems like it's easier to turn someone bad than it is to turn someone good. So they always have that little bit of edge on us anyway. But that's the way in my head. That's how I think of it. That's why I know that when I'm going in to a house that is not Christian, I'm not going to do the house blessing, because the house blessings I'm doing are Christian, and I'm not going to assume that the entities there are Christian. I've done cases with in Jewish households where we changed up. I did do stuff there, but I had to change it up a little bit because we had to leave out the New Testament. We had to go back, to old school. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, all those guys, they were all Jewish too. So we have to go back to the Old Testament, Psalms and things like that, and go about it a different way, because we're still in the same quasi belief system, but you have to fine tune it for their beliefs. So me coming in, even though we're talking about the same devil, the same angels thrown out of heaven, I can't go in there and, tell them that Jesus is casting them out, because, he's a prophet,
Right.
but, not a Messiah. So then right there, you kind of lose credibility with the people. Now, all those prayers, they might be universally accurate. I don't know. The only time I ever found out you can't use something that you don't necessarily believe in was the Native American, and that blew up in our face because we were taught by someone how to do it, and we got the tobacco and we got all these things to do, and we made it 1,000 times worse because none of us were Native American. We were saying words, we were doing things, reading off a list, but we were not believing it. And if you don't believe it,
and that's
it's
everything.
nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is everything.
Yeah.
So we did have someone come in that was Native American and clean up the mess, but it was part of our mess too. So, I acknowledge that. I mean, that's how you learn. You make the mistakes. Unfortunately, thank God that wasn't a house. It was an office building, because it could have been a lot worse. But ego plays into it too. You're doing stuff. It's like you're the one that does that, so you can go in and do it. You got the instructions right here. Yeah. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. I've been involved.
And you want to help. You want to help.
A Hindu. It wasn't even an exorcism. I don't know what you even call it. There was an aunt that was cursing and manifesting and attacking the family remotely. So we had a member that was Hindu at the time, because the universe puts people in your orbit that you need at any given time. So he was there, and we were participants then. So I saw stuff that I'm getting chills right now. Give me the demon any day. I don't want to have any part of that ever again. Yeah. Because that was terrifying, especially realizing that I have no idea what's happening right now. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm getting out of this. We were just we were there for moral support, what that's worth, because my support left within the first 10 minutes because I was terrified. I was totally out of my comfort zone, and who am I praying for help to? It got very confusing. Thank God that wasn't something we decided to read a book about and go and do. I mean, that would have been horrific.
Yeah. You got other things going. I want to talk about some of the other stuff before we have to leave. It's going to run out sooner or later.
The demon stuff always goes on forever.
Demons are going to be here, But you have one of the first ghost hunting equipment stores. Ghost hunter
store, right?
Yeah.
How did you come about that? Because you started that way back where we were buying our equipment from Home Depot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And hardware stores. We're going into hardware stores at Home Depot and all these different places to
Radio
buy our
Shack.
equipment.
I went to Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Shack hacks. But and all of a sudden it's like, there's a store I can
we
buy
used to
this
get the stuff from Radio Shack, and there was a place called Edmund Scientific where we could get the EMF meters from.
Yes, I know that. Yes.
I got a cell sensor meter from Edmund Scientific, and I think I paid like $150 for it, and there was no other place to get it, so it's like that's where I got it from. And going on the internet back when they were still can't remember what they used to call them. News groups, I think is what they were called, where it was still just like chat, basically long-term chat. And there was one about, it was a ghost hunting thing or ghost, and a guy was on there, and he seemed out of place, and he was answering very technical questions, and it wound up being the guy that invented and built the cell sensor. And just as a joke, after he had trained me and taught me everything I needed to know about the cell sensor, because I was using it completely wrong, as a joke, I said, yeah, would you give me a discount if I bought a case of them? And he said, yeah. And then he messaged me privately and gave me a price. And, I got up, I fell out of the chair, got up in the chair and fell out of it again. Because I realized, how many I could buy for what I paid for one. So I went on the Shadowlands message board and I said, hey, I think I said $35. I said, if I could get you this meter for $35, how many people would want it? And it was like hundreds of messages. So it's the floor of my apartment. Yeah, that's where I would get the cases of the cell sensors coming in and just ship them right out. And then I thought, like, I looked at my equipment case, like, okay, what else do I carry? What else could I sell? I think the motion sensors were next. Because I realized Radio Shack couldn't be the only place that was selling them. There had to be some other place that, that like Home Depot and places like that sold them.
I bought this from your
son, the Sun meter.
Yeah.
So you went to the store when you were still in Mount Holly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite store.
And the woman that was there, I don't remember her name. And I'm like, is there anywhere around here we go and investigating? And she said she introduced me to Burlington Prison.
That place is great.
This I bought from your store many years
is.
ago. I haven't used. I mean, it is what it is. But this is like one of the first things I got from your store.
What is it, Anthony? What is it?
EMF meter.
Oh, got it.
I found just looking at boxes one day. As going through stores and stuff, and you see, we all knew back then everything was from China anyway. You still had the made in China labels. Well, I'm like, made in China. So there's someone who's making it in China, and then the stores over here are buying it and selling it for more. What if I could find somebody in China that's making it? Would they sell it to me?
Idea.
As a business. And I found people with some of the EMF meters, like that one in particular, that was like just a small supplier in China, and they would let me buy them in smaller. Normally, they would sell them by like 500 to 1,000. They would let me buy them like by the hundreds. So I would, buy them, and like the ELF zone, that was one that was, always around too, that we buy by the hundreds. And it was the same kind of thing. We were getting it directly from the people in China, but but not bypassing everybody else. So we were able to sell it at, ridiculously low prices, because I was more interested, and still am. I probably would be well off if I actually charged what some of the other places charge for equipment. I don't make a lot of profit on it, because I'd rather see everyone using good equipment or having access to the equipment than not using any. Yeah. To me,
Right.
that was always more important. So whenever even now, when I find something new, I'm usually doing the negotiating on my customer's behalf of getting the price down lower. I've even had people that were already selling their products out there to lower their price, so we could both sell it at a lower price instead of having, someone out there selling it for more. So, but that was the whole goal of it, was to get stuff out there, and it just slowly grew. And then I knew I was bringing stuff for protection, St. Michael things, and what the hell? I almost like every couple weeks I'd pick something else, and I'm like, I just go with my gut. This seems like it's good. I'll buy this, and then I'd see if it sells, and if it started selling, then I'd move on to another thing, and just kept adding stuff. I think there's like 750 things on the store currently right now, and I don't think that's the most we've ever had. The online store has more than the physical store did, just because of different variations you can get and things you can customize and things like that. But the whole process is, the thought process is still there to try to get everyone something that, it's their stuff that's super expensive that I can't afford if I didn't have the store. But there are people who are going to have that money. They're going to put that out for something that's, high end, I'm driving a used truck. There are a lot of people in my neighborhood that have brand new trucks.
Yeah.
I can't afford a new one, so I have to use one. So it's like it's that whole principle. But I try to make sure there's still stuff that's in the low end,
Mhm.
so it goes from one extreme to the other, and then plenty of stuff in the middle. So
Yeah.
you may not be able to get the high end one, but you're going to be able to get something that does the same thing, maybe not with all the bells and whistles, but some of the basic technology for
Yeah.
something that you can't afford. And then I started the layaway program, which was like, I don't think anyone else does layaway.
I see that on your site.
That was when I was a teenager and worked at Kmart. I worked in the layaway department. So
Oh
I
my
saw how
God.
it was. It's like, let me see if this actually works. And it does. People love doing that. Because
Yeah.
I had that pay in for or pay over time before there were all those offers in the places that do it now.
Yeah.
Oh, like Klarna or whatever it's
Yeah, like
called.
Klarna. So I've been doing the layaway thing for like 15 years at least. So again,
Mhm.
it's for something that's a little bit, more costly. And there's no time frame. You put down what you want, you pay as much as you want anytime until it's paid off. Some people take months, some people take over a year. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever you can afford and whatever it takes to get to the end, then I'm good with that. Because it's the same thing. Then people are getting something that they're going to go out there and use that I'm comfortable selling them. That
Mhm.
it's going to work properly for what it's do what it's intended to do.
If somebody's starting off with the paranormal, like some of these kids or just anybody, what equipment do you tell them to start off with? What would you tell them?
I usually first ask if what would they see as like better results. Would you like to see something move and physical? Would you like to be able to show a picture or a video? Would you like to hear a voice? And then I can know where to go first. I think
Mhm.
the very first thing would be some kind of audio recorder,
Mhm.
because it's twofold. You take your notes with it, so everything that's happening, you're logging in, and
Yeah.
then you're doing your EVPs. And if you're interviewing clients or interviewing witnesses, anything like that, you can record that too, because you're not going to remember it all. So
Mhm.
it's really three important things right there. Then I try to tell everyone to get a flashlight that's red tinted. So I don't let my investigators use anything but red, because that way I'm not going blind throughout the investigation when they shine in your
Yeah.
eye. But then the next thing is more personal. Do they want that video or that photo? And I'll tell them, I'll be honest, it's like, yeah, I'll show you the 6 positive photos I got, and you do this 40 years and you can get 6 positive photos too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Or you can, like stuff like the tripwire or the REM pod, all the stuff where the trigger prop kind of stuff, where you can see
Mhm.
physical interaction and interaction that you can't explain, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
And at least if you're going to, video, or you're videoing something proving there was nothing around that piece of equipment that should have been setting it off. So that
Mhm.
would be like the video would come after buying that piece of equipment. And that opens up a whole bunch. I mean, that opens up stuff, it's very inexpensive, all the way up through, the high end stuff. And
Yeah.
there's still stuff out there that, that I use, but I don't sell, because I think it's just tacky, I would say, is the best word. Cat balls. I'm not going to sell you a cat ball when you can go on
Oh,
to Amazon or
Mhm.
Timu or any place and buy a bag of them, for next to nothing. That's,
Yeah.
to
Go to
me,
a pet
that's
store.
what's that?
Go to a pet store.
Right. I mean, you're gonna get it cheaper doing it that way.
Mhm.
So, but I
Petco.
use them. I think they're really cool.
Mhm.
They're something that you can put in and on different areas, that if something happens behind your back, you're going to know right away, because the colors light up bright enough that you're going to know something just happened behind you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're using them smart, I mean, wherever I put them down, I start pounding and stomping all around it to make sure that I'm not setting it off. Um, then that's a great piece of equipment to have.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean, you can still get good stuff and use it properly. But I'm not a fan of the people that are taking advantage of the people that, of the paranormal community.
Yeah.
That's,
I
that's
know
the only
people, as
thing.
soon as a new piece of equipment come out, they're buying it. And then I'm looking at the piece of equipment, I'm like, that's just a newer version of something from the past with the same bells and whistles, but it's in a fancier box.
Exactly. Or they change the color of something.
Yeah.
There's some, I don't understand how some of the stuff that's out there is out there now, because I know that Gary Galka, the REM pod and the SB7, and the guy who invented all that, he finally trademarked REM pod just to be able to try to go back at some of the counterfeiters, because it's not the technology. There's a lot of proximity detectors out there, and there's a lot of different types. I mean, I sell a whole bunch of them, but there are people that have just taken his design and his special features that are only on his, copied them, and when you put them side by side, you can't tell which one's which. But they appear on Amazon and on Walmart and all the different websites. It's like, that's obviously like cloning it and stealing it. But apparently there's nothing they can do about that.
Like the K2. The K2, I have I have the original one, the K2. I think I got it from you also. And now that the K2s I see out here, the black ones and all these different colors, I'm like, they're not the same. They're so sensitive, and it's not the same piece of. You can feel the difference also between the older one and just the weight alone. And I'm just like, how do they get away with
the sad
that?
story about that is K2 Enterprises had to close. All those people were out of work. The company shut down because they sold I think $65, I think is what the basic one went for. And then the cost was probably like half of that. But you go on AliExpress or Temu and you find the cheap knockoffs and you buy them for 10.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to buy $65 one when they can buy a 10 one? Not more people are going to buy the cheap one now because of the huge price difference, and it looks the same, and it's plastic, maybe a little cheaper. The circuit board might be identical. I mean, but it was enough that it took enough money out of K2's pocket, and there was nothing they could do about it because they were being built overseas. That it shut them down completely. And a lot of the people who come up with these really cool ideas, I have no problem with. I've seen people. I carry some that are round objects that are proximity sensors and have the lights flash with the antenna. One, the Opti Red Pod was one that I carry, and I carried that because the antenna came off. The very first design of it was you could unscrew the antenna, which you couldn't until recently on the REM pod. And it has two modes. It has the REM pod sound that we all are familiar with.
Yeah.
Then it has one that plays musical notes, and you can just toggle between the two. That's a big enough difference that the REM pod doesn't have. And it's not a red top, black tube. The guy made it in like an octagon shape and different angles on it. Made it different, but it has a different feature because you can't trademark or say that you invented the proximity sensor, because that's what they mostly go off of. But when you mirror all the features identically, then I have an issue with it. And that's unfortunately, there's more and more of that popping up. And if they make it look good, they put it in a nice box or a blister pack, and all of a sudden that looks like that's the Macy's version.
Yeah,
instead of the original,
You know what I would love? I don't know if you offer this or if other places offer out two things. I would love to like rent equipment, because I'm not a big tech person. Never have been, never will be. I'm never going to buy stuff for thousands of dollars. And I know all of you all here have. So there are those. But I would love an opportunity to like rent equipment where I can try it out, see if I like it, see if, a trial, if it resonates with me. Like equipment's either going to resonate with you. Some equipment works for some people. It doesn't work as well for other people, and you're never going to know unless you buy it and you use it, unless you borrow somebody else's. So I would love something like you could rent equipment either at a lower price, and you could try it, or even having.
I think we thought about it before, and what we ran into was the whole, the decreasing the value over time. Then what happens to it if it doesn't pay itself off? Something damaged, you had to hold on to credit cards where if someone, you never returned it or returned it damaged, you could charge it, and there's all the liabilities for that. It wound up being a mess. So what we do is I host. Through the store, I have another thing that's haunted explorations events. And it's basically just the event part of the Ghost Hunter store. And I bring equipment from the store, especially like the newer stuff, and set it up all over the location and let people test drive it. Right. So that way you can see what it's like actually in a place and get to use it. So for a night, you're getting to test drive it and then see if that's something, that you might be interested in getting. And that was the compromise that I figured out. So people are still getting it. And for the most part, the stuff that you're seeing at the events is just my stuff. So my personal equipment. So I'm using it. I'm going to be using it anyway. So if I put it out, it's going to be used one way or the other. So I'm not worried about the value of it. And in all the years I've been doing it, I think we had one thing that walked away out of all these years, equipment wise. So I'm not really worried about that either. So it works. It works for us anyway. I know there's a couple of event companies that rent equipment too, and there's some locations that do that too. And if you're doing it like that, eventually it is going to pay itself off. But I was more concerned with, shipping back to us. And there's just so many ways things could go wrong for, pricier items that we weren't willing to take the risk or the headache. And I don't think any online site that I'm aware of anyway does the rentals.
I haven't seen anything like that, but it's just something, because I know equipment pricing is getting wild. And at this point, it's usually like one person on the team has one piece of equipment, another person has that other expensive equipment, another person has the other.
Is she talking about us, Jenny?
I don't know what she's talking about.
Which is great.
That's the best way to do it,
right? But
yeah,
it's great when you're all together. But if somebody's not there, then you're missing a part of that really important equipment that everybody uses as a group. So I don't know, just something I always wonder about, like a rental ghost party box, because there's a lot of
that's a good idea
out there that really are interested.
Dave, did you sell this? I don't remember if I got this from you.
I did sell them.
And with this, I think I probably
add on screen.
Yep. So I probably got this from you.
I remember those.
Novelist.
Yeah.
Do you do like resell? Do you have like a section on the website that does resell?
There are people that do that. We don't.
Yeah.
And I get people all the time saying, "Hey, I got this equipment. I don't do this anymore," or someone passed away or something, and they want to get rid of all this equipment. And it's hard to put a value on stuff without taking it out and testing it. And sometimes with some of the equipment, going out or going down the basement, trying out for 5 minutes, it's not testing the equipment to see if it works. There might be things that pop up on an investigation in a different environment that will show you. So it's like, I bought stuff for my team and I bought stuff personally that was, used that way. But I think Gotcha Ghost does used equipment. I think he still buys and sells some stuff, but it's very specific, very targeted. It's more or less going to be the high end stuff. And I think he's got a window of like something like 60 days or 90 days where he can test it. And if not, then he will send it back. And until it clears that testing, you're not getting paid out. So again, that's a lot more elaborative system than I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
It gets really into the weeds, and I can just see.
Yeah.
I try to avoid angry customers as much as possible, and that just seems like that just exponentially adds angry customers. But that
Yeah.
party thing
Yeah.
idea, that
Yeah.
party box, now that might be something, because then you could have one set that you rented out here and there, and it was all, after a while, the one set, I guess, would pay for itself, and you were only worried about this one set. You could probably cover it with insurance too. So that might be something that's a little more doable. I haven't seen anyone do anything like that. Most of the places
Yeah.
like that do, like I know Hillview Manor, because I've supplied them with some stuff. You can rent the stuff there when you're doing your investigation. I know
Right.
some of the event companies like Third Eye Productions, they do where you can rent equipment. I think they do where you can rent cameras, video cameras,
Really?
and
Okay.
then you pay for the memory card, but you bring the memory card
Mhm.
home. So then your whole investigation you have
You
film
come.
too. So
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Right, that's Larissa.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's again, that's an investment, because video cameras are not cheap, and you're hoping no one drops them. And I
Oh.
dropped my cameras, so you know,
I know that feeling. I had so many cameras that
Yeah.
were dropped on me. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's if I drop them that much, I don't know how much confidence I have, unless I give the people Velcro gloves or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Just get
Signed
duct tape,
contract. You
duct
cannot
tape,
take
just
off your
tape it to
glove.
the hand. Just,
I'd be
you have other things. I mean, you said before you had the podcast. I want to. That's what I showed. I'm going to show it again. You want to talk about this?
This is Tri-C Ghost Hunters are the people who do the Parapsychon event up in Ohio State Reformatory.
Oh, okay.
They're the resident people, and this is their podcast, and they're having me on
okay.
2 weeks in a row. See, they because they're doing the
Wow.
demonology. I guess they know that there's no way they're going to ask all the questions in an hour, so
Yeah.
doing it 2 weeks back to back. But I
Smart.
have a podcast too, but we're not right now. We're not doing it. I don't know if you guys have gotten your prices increased, but we were getting priced out by some of the hosting companies. And it seems to be going around. So significant price increases. So we're looking for alternate ways of doing it.
Mhm.
But you guys are much more professional than I am. I usually start by telling people this is the least professional podcast you'll ever be on. And
Oh my god.
We try to keep it fun.
Yeah, we do, but sometimes it descends.
Yeah, well,
Sends into chaos.
we start talking
Depends.
about food
Depends
or
how many Red Bulls he's had.
I
Yeah.
had none tonight. You know what happened? I ran out of Red Bulls. I ran out of all my energy drinks, so I'm a little more
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally tell. I knew it immediately. I knew
Yeah,
it.
you knew it because I'm like,
It's like the scale. How many Red Bull? The Red Bull scale.
yeah, I ran out of Red Bulls. I ran out of the other thing I drank, and I
Oh
tried
my
to get
a little
God.
the
count
coffee,
on the
but it's
screen.
not
You need a
working.
little
How are you gonna
count
keep
of
your
Red Bull
energy up?
cans across the screen,
Yeah, I
Oh,
should.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
so people know how
We're
many
at
you're
Goose
dealing
Lake
with.
tonight.
Seriously,
hear
it's
this?
like a 3 Red Bull night, a 2 Red Bull night. That's how
Exactly.
we measure it.
I got a whole bag here empties.
Gosh.
I'm gonna drop it off by the
gosh.
homeless guy down the block. He can make a couple
Work.
bucks off it.
Oh my
know?
gosh.
You also got this coming up. I don't like. So I want to get some things in.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's. I swore years ago I'd never do another Paracon, and then Whitehill had asked me after having a bad experience with someone else doing their Paracon, and that was 4 years ago. So this will be the 4th year, and I like to look at it as like it's more like a festival. If you want to go into the big, I did the first 3 years of Penhurst, so I know what it's like to have thousands of people and hundreds of guests and all that stuff, and that's nice, but it's not. You don't get that like FaceTime with somebody. You don't get that more relaxed interaction with people. So we do it as it's a fundraiser. 100% goes to the Whitehill Mansion, and Katrina Weedman and Heather Taddy have been coming for the past 3 years, and they'll be back this year, donating their time to and when you're meeting them, you're not just rushing, get a signature sign, pose for a selfie, and you're out. You're meeting them. You're talking to them. You're having a conversation. There's no, it's not like you're on a line where you have to keep going real fast through people.
Yeah.
We have a lot of local people that are, I call them the local celebrities. We also have this year we added John Zappis and Brian Cano.
Yeah, I see
So
that.
they'll be there too. But we have a lot of other people that are going to be there. And it's one of those places that I would like to walk around, and that's how I made it more like a festival fair kind of thing. Got the food truck out there. There's little activities for everybody, all tied in basically to generate money for the mansion. So the historical locations, they can only get so many grants. You get grants, you're timed out or limited out on things. So you still have to pay the bills. And they do ghost hunting events. They rent it out for ghost hunts weekly. I think every weekend winds up being booked up there.
Oh yeah,
I do like 4 hunts there for the public, but it's they found a way that through using the off time of the mansion, time that there wouldn't be anyone there, where nothing would be on or anything at all, to use that in a way to generate money. And more historic places are realizing that. But I think Whitehill got on it really quickly and saw a night and day turnaround of what they were able to make by just simply weekends. We're not even using the lights when you go in there to investigate. So literally you're opening the door. That's all you have to do is open the door and then close the door and lock it. That's all it takes from them on their end. The rest is 100% profit, because it's all volunteers that are there. So I mean, it's costing you nothing, because you would still have everything that's being running at the time, like any heater or whatever that's going on. It would be on anyway. So it's not costing you anything extra just to unlock that door, let people go in, and ghost hunt for a few hours and leave them. So it's a win-win, and more places are seeing that now, where they can make money.
And Kyle lets you in, and then he sits in his trailer.
Yeah. Or Dawn.
And then you just do whatever you want. That's what's so awesome about that place, because there's so many different eras, and it was there 50 years before the United States was the United States, before it's it's an awesome place. I love that place.
And Anthony, it's on the bingo card. We have a joke on our show that we have a bingo card, the things we mention every week. Literally every week we mention Whitehill Mansion.
Whitehill Mansion.
Every week we talk about Whitehill Mansion being such a great example, just for the reasons that you just gave. And plus we're big fans, we're fans
it makes
of Dawn and Kyle.
There's not a lot of places that I can't think of any more than 3 maybe, where every time I've been there, there's something has happened. Maybe one time it's just one little thing. Other times it's like crazy, but I've never gone to Whitehill. Even we would have our group meetings there, like on like a Wednesday night at like 7 for a couple hours. So we would experience stuff during the meetings. So I've never been there without something happening.
Me either.
So
me either. I think I've been there 4 or 5 times. Never been there that something didn't happen. And sometimes it's extreme activity, and sometimes it's like a little bit of activity, but always,
from like the 3rd floor, you're downstairs in the base. Also, you hear like people running up and down stairs and bangs and giggling, and you're running. So where the hell is that? You're running up there, and it's great.
It's a great place.
If people haven't ever done that before, that's a great place to get your feet wet.
Yes.
Because it's so many layers, even for people who are sensitive, to go in there. I mean, you're, like you said, you're predating the United States. You have different layers of people, from wars, and like real time, where you had the Hessians there on the property. You had just so many layers of people and what it was used for. It was the restaurant for a while. The different families that went through there.
Food. That's the other thing we talk about. So we're going to get to that, because we're going to ask you my famous food question.
Okay.
before we let you go.
The
Yeah.
tunnel that comes up from the river up to White Hill
Yes.
during, with all the, that's, I found that when I have the portal sessions running with the Ghost Box, if I mention Bacardi rum gets a big hit. And that was one of the big ones that came up the
Rum.
coast.
Oh,
So,
Rum, yes. Rum is. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
for
and
sure.
I feel like generally like a energetically safe place. Like, I mean, there's not dark. There are some more intense energies, but I don't
Mhm.
feel. I mean, you would know as a demonologist, but I don't feel like there's anything that's super dangerous or like super negative there.
there's negative energy, but it's not that kind of negative. It's negative energy
Yeah.
from
Right.
events that have occurred in the place.
Right.
Not negative spirits. I've never encountered anything bad there.
Yeah.
Bad in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff,
Right.
there's questionable stuff that has happened there that
Yeah.
kind of is imprinted, and maybe not all the spirits are happy to see you, but there's nothing that's malicious.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt the same thing there. And so again, it's a great place to go. I don't think it's, it's a safer energetic space.
my
to-
favorite place in there is the third floor with the little hole in the wall.
I love the
that
third
little
floor.
when I started going there, that was actually a hole in the wall. Now they framed it out. But when I first went there, years ago, when I first started opening up to investigations, it was actually a hole in the wall. You had to crawl in.
Where?
Get in there. On the third floor, there's
In
an
the
exhibition side alley. On
Attic? In
the
the
third
attic?
floor. Yeah, well, that's the attic, I guess. I don't know. I'm calling it third
Yeah, it's
floor.
on the top floor.
Yeah, the
Okay.
top floor. And when you get up the stairs over to your right,
Yeah.
over to your right, you got that
Yeah.
wall, and then you have like a little
Yeah.
hidden.
With stairs.
Now they got stairs and it's all. But when you used to go in there was actually a hole in the wall that you used to have to crawl in to get in there. There was a table and stuff in there, and that's
Yeah.
where I
Okay.
seen a couple of spirits in
I'm
there and
with you.
stuff like that. So that was
Mhm.
a very cool place.
Yeah. And I agree. The Paracon is such a good one. It does feel like a neighborhood festival, that you're
it
walking
does.
around.
Like a fair.
And we purposely don't get a table there because we love the atmosphere of walking around. We want to be the visitors.
Well, I'd like to be a visitor one time.
Right?
I know what it looks like when I see the pictures of it afterwards, but I'm going on very few from Friday at 3 p.m. I think I can finally relax at Saturday at 3 a.m. because that's when the investigation's over. So it's like all that kind of winds up being a blur. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to ask people, did I eat? Did I eat something?
Yeah,
It's like, because I have no idea what's going on right now. I'm just running from place to place to place to place. But
that's when you
every
love
year, I think it's my
something.
last year, and then I wind up doing it again because I love the place. So it's kind of hard to not want to help.
Yeah, that place is awesome. It's like when we went there, we walked in. It was Jennie and I, and we walked in, and I didn't stop talking to people from the minute I walked in, all the way around the whole place.
Go figure.
And
Anthony,
by the time we got to the end of the place, I stopped talking. It was closing on me. They said, "Okay, what are you?" I was like, everybody, like every time I was talking to somebody because if I knew them or I just met them or whatever, and by the time I got to the end, they were closing. I didn't even get a chance to go inside to say hello to anybody. I'm like, I got to go inside. Well, they're all packed up. I'm like, damn.
Get a mental picture of Anthony talking to everybody.
We need to do like a timer, like 10-minute timer. Beep, next.
Sorry, Anthony, time's up. Next.
Your time's up. But anybody talked to me. Nobody chased me away. Hey, you're loitering or anything, I wasn't.
Finally, I was like, all right, I'm going inside. I can't wait for him anymore.
Yeah, she walked away from.
That's great, Dave, because that's coming up. That's May 2nd.
May.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah.
And we got a couple. What else did we add to it? Friday and Saturday night, we're going to be having gallery readings right down the road at the Town and Country restaurant. April Bussett is going to be doing the readings, and that'll be money raised for White Hill, and hopefully that brings people in, maybe a day earlier and come and stay at the local hotels and eat at the local restaurants, and because they support us. So we're getting more and more of the locals now getting more involved and wanting to do this as they can see this isn't just like a one-shot fly-by-night kind of thing. This is the 4th year, right. So we're getting more and more people involved with it, which is nice to see, because I've done some for places that I wonder what they did with the money. I've done big Paracons. I have no question of what they've ever done with any of the money, because every time you go, you can see something different. Now, I remember when you couldn't go in the front door because the pillars came down. We had to go in through the side door. And now you can go back in the front door again. There's just stuff that they've fixed over the years. We do another event for them as a fundraiser while I'm thinking of it, the Buccaneer Ball. You get to dress up as a pirate, and you bring your own bottle. There are actually the sea dogs who dress up as pirates, and they're singing sea shanties. And admission is whatever donation you want to make to the mansion.
This is amazing.
That's really fun.
So they make some money off of that too, and it's paranormal people, pirates, and alcohol is an amazing thing to see. It's almost like they were made to be together.
I don't know. You had me at pirate, so
I know, right?
I didn't need the rest, but that's great.
Buccaneer Ball. I was like, ooh, when is this?
Yeah,
it's the first Saturday in December every year. So I don't know what that falls on this year.
No, but that's nice because everything's over, in December.
Yeah.
And it's good for wearing the pirate costumes, the heavier ones anyway.
Because it's a little
because
chilly.
Then you're not worried about sweating or freezing.
So
either one. Let's see. The 5th, December 5th this year.
5th, yeah.
We gotta put that
December
down.
5th would be the Saturday.
That's always a fun time, depending on what the temperature's like. Sometimes it's a little colder, but you got multiple areas to go to. Sometimes down in the basement it's a little bit warmer than it is. We were able to get some of the heat on this year, so it wasn't as bad. It was at least warmer inside than it was outside. The sea dogs doing their singing and everything. They're keeping that room warm. So it's a fun event.
That sounds cool.
That is so cool. I love. Yeah, I mean, the fun is a big part of it, isn't it? I mean, the other thing we say every week is like that we know nothing, right? Like we know nothing. Like we're always searching. We're always trying to learn. We're all, we don't know. I feel like we know this much, right? Compared to what in the universe, right? And I mean, if we're not having fun doing this, why are we doing it?
Right. That's the Buccaneer Ball didn't start as like a fundraiser. It started at our houses. We would have like blow off steam kind of parties, like 4 times a year, where the group would get together and we'd all just kind of like hang out and drink and have a good time. We didn't have to worry about no ghost talking, no paranormal talking at all. It was just completely social. And one time someone says we should need to change it up a little bit. I'm like, yeah, well, why don't we all dress up as pirates then? And the big light went off. It's like everyone had that same realization at the moment. It's like pirates. Yes.
Yes.
Let's do that.
That is so cool. Anybody with a parrot on the shoulder? No parrot on the shoulder.
Yeah. Someone did have the one that actually talked too.
Oh, really?
It was like motion sensitive, and it would say things.
Cool.
Most of it, I think it was from Spencer, so it was probably a bunch of profanity spouting out. But pirates, that's allowed in a pirate.
That's okay. Anthony's real pirate talks like that too. Or he has a parrot. Real parrot.
Real parrot.
I have a real parrot. And he calls me a effer all the time. But he uses the real word. He doesn't say effer.
Yeah.
So,
of course.
That's funny.
You got all the stuff coming up. I seen this. I wanted to show this too.
Oh.
That was last year. I don't have a date this year.
Okay. We got that one. I tried. I went through your thing, and I was like going too quick. And I was like, "What can I show?"
There's just
How
so
about
much.
this? There you
That's
go.
Oh, that's great.
when Michael Castro
Mhm.
is the photographer. He's one of the people that does the Ghosted
We know him.
magazine.
Yep,
Yeah.
we know.
So when I saw the
That's the picture he
pictures,
took of me.
He took
That's
that
great.
of Anthony.
I like how he adds that darkness in there, and just enough that makes it look, really cool. So he's doing
Interesting,
the flyer you showed for White Hill and all the special guests graphics. He's doing them all.
Wow.
That's how he's sponsoring the event.
Oh, good
He's
at
doing that all for us. So
He has a
that
gift
makes
for
it look
that.
a lot better. Yeah, he does. Definitely.
Mhm. Yeah, he does really good.
For real. He does beautiful work. Like
If
for
he
the
can
main
make me look good,
Paranormal.
he's good. He makes me look good. I say, "Hey, this." I say, "I told
Stop.
you, you're awesome, man."
I was
You make me
there.
look good.
You
That's a
take very
great picture.
intense photos. That you do photograph. I always say that you do photograph well.
You do.
Yeah, but you need a wide lens these days.
Okay.
That's
No, he
why
does. He really
all the
does. He
pictures
does.
she's got of me, I just cut off here and just take
Oh
the
my
rest. It's we don't need to
Crop
see
it.
that.
Yeah, he told me to cross my arms and like, good. You can't see my stomach.
No, it's
Yeah,
good because you can see your tattoo. It's so
And
good.
see
Yeah,
my
your Gabagool
gabagool.
shirt on.
Gabagool shirt,
That was at the Parajam.
Parajam last year. Yeah, he was right next to me, and there's nobody
Yeah.
coming in and out. So he goes, "Come here. What's
Yeah.
up, Mike? Let me take a picture of you." Sure.
Notice he didn't ask
goes,
me.
Cross your
was
arms,
like-
do this, do that. All right, fine. So he sends that to me, and then I posted it on Facebook. Said, "Thank you, Michael Danger. This and that and all that." And, yeah, forget about it. And
There you go.
and and then all of a sudden, a couple people came in. They see me on Facebook, and they came in, and they went to him to get pictures done.
Good.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It was Skylar, and her dad, Chris. Yeah, they came in and they got pictures done. So that was
Oh,
cool.
nice.
So, can we see the cover of the magazine again, please?
Yeah.
That's a
2000
great photo.
Yeah.
Radio Shadowlands. Yeah. He
See,
takes
now
really good.
he had never heard of the Shadowlands either. Because I mentioned to him, he goes, "What can we cover?" Because he asked me to be in the magazine when we were doing that thing at the New Jersey Battleship, this Battleship soiree, that
Oh,
the
yeah.
2024, I think it was. And I said, "Sure." And I said,
I remember that.
the anniversary of the Shadowlands just passed of like 30 years. So I said, and he's like, "Shadowlands?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I had to do the whole explaining thing, and I made him feel bad too because I said, "How could you not know this? I don't want to be in your magazine." Yeah, but it's the interview really came out a lot better than I anticipated because over the years I've done interviews and you read it and sometimes you wonder like who were they talking to or were they even listening, but he definitely focused on everything and got all the points that if I was writing it myself I would have put in. So it was a nice little plug for the Shadowlands, and I started getting some people messaging saying, "Hey, I remember the Shadowlands when I was." Usually starts when I was little. That kind of thing. When I was little, I used to read the Shadowlands, and I'm looking at them and going, "Oh my God, I am so old."
So you're quite happy that I remember it, and I was a little.
Tales.
I remember it too.
It's like the OG thing. It's like I guess I kind of accept the OG now, but it's like at first it's like who you calling OG?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Yeah, what Zathis is called, what the Godfather, Godfather of Ghost Hunting or
Godfather
Paranormal
of the
and stuff.
Paranormal.
Yeah.
He uses that tagline now too. So he's like accepted it. So at some point you kind of just have to, say, okay, it's meant in a positive way, like the pioneer kind of way, not as Dan, you're too old. You need to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
It also sounds like you have an entrepreneurial spirit that you create. You are a creator. You like to create things. It's natural. So own that for sure.
Yeah. If I could catch up to do the videos and stuff, and If I would have realized back then when YouTube came out that you could make millions of dollars by just recording videos of yourself all day long.
Really?
Damn, I would have hopped on that. There's where the creative would have came out.
You know,
Now it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
hit that train.
Yeah.
And those are the videos that do well, the ones that are literally just recording yourself.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you
I
don't
should
even
start
have to be able to edit.
recording every time I eat a cannoli.
Oh my
People
God.
would
All right.
watch
The
it.
other thing we have is a drinking game on this
People
show.
would
So when you say
absolutely
cannoli,
watch
Every
that.
time we say cannoli, somebody says cannoli. They're supposed to drink whatever they have.
um,
But you know,
speaking of, I'm going to forget my weekly question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dave, what is your go-to snack on an investigation?
Yeah,
What do
very
you have
important.
to have in your bag?
I
Just
would
a
say
fun
peanut
question.
M&Ms.
Oh, it's a good one. We've never had
Wait,
that.
regular M&Ms or peanut M&Ms?
Peanut.
Yeah,
peanut.
peanut.
Peanut
Okay, good.
M&Ms.
Thank God.
She was like,
So-
no regular bullshit. No,
So you're
gonna have
You're getting the
it's gotta be the
sugar,
peanut.
the chocolate, and you're getting the the peanut
That's
too.
great. Great
So
choice.
it's like
Oh,
hiking.
yeah. The
That's like hiking
protein.
food. Quick energy.
You got
Yeah,
three
the trail
food
mix.
groups there, you know?
You thought that through way too much.
Dairy
I think I would have
and-
just been like, they're delicious.
And
Yeah,
addictive.
But I remember, going back, to younger years, camping and going like hiking and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You look at even trail
Yeah.
mix. You throw in some raisins in that bag of
Oh,
peanut
yeah.
M&Ms. You got trail mix right there. So
Mhm.
you're almost there.
That is a great.
I agree.
I'm liking this rationalization. I'm on board.
Yeah, she's with it.
Okay, you're gonna bring the trails mix this one?
As
next
long as you
one,
have your
Kim?
your meat sticks. Kim likes her jerky.
I'll bring
Yeah, I
my
got
I'll bring the jerky and then you could have the trail mix, okay?
So that
Great.
if my wife goes and gets me snacks to go on the road with stuff, there's
Mhm.
always the like the foot long Slim Jims and stuff. That's
Yes.
almost
Okay.
always in the bag. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Great choice.
By the way, I just want to say I like your shirt. I like that shirt. That's the Templars.
Yeah.
Oh
My-
yeah.
Mine's all
Somebody
these
mentioned
different
that in the
themes.
chat.
Did they?
Yeah, someone mentioned
Yeah,
it.
somebody
the
mentioned it in the chat too. I had no idea what they were referencing.
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
how
our
much
friend
you can
Adam in
say.
Texas.
Night Templar shirt. You can see the
Let's see if I go
cross there,
back.
and then-
There you go.
Oh,
The
then
night
the armor.
kneeling. And this
That's
is all
cool.
supposed to be like chainmail and stuff. She finds all these different themed sweatshirts.
That's an
Love
awesome
it.
shirt. 'Cause I love the Night Templar stuff. I like night. I don't know if I ever came from there because I collect knives and all this stuff. Maybe it's a past life I had.
I have the
Wow.
whole setup. I have the chainmail armor, the helmet, the sword,
Do
and
you?
all the cloth, the cloak, and everything. And I'll tell
I
you,
sense another
I've had
night
people
coming.
in past life told me that in past life I was some kind of clergy, fighter or knight. And the first time I put all that on, I was doing it like for Halloween because my wife had bought me stuff here and there, kind of just as like something to have. You're never going to wear it, but I'm like, hey, this stuff fits. I'm going to put it all on. As soon as I put it all on, I put the helmet on. Yeah, I swear to God, I had looked out those eye slits before. It was
Yeah.
very,
Oh, yeah.
very surreal. So
Wow. Yeah.
It felt
Yeah.
like home. Like you felt like you've been there before for sure.
yeah,
Yep.
I almost
So
feel
cool.
like it's the Crusades or something like that. That would
Yeah,
be
that's what I was gonna say. Crusades.
yeah, that's what I think. I think it was back then because they said
Yeah.
something about like heretic too, and it's like that the
The
Friday
church
the
turned
13th,
on. That's right.
where they were taken down and tried as heretics. So
Mhm.
it's
Wow.
Right.
started making sense then. It's like, oh geez, maybe there was something to that.
Yeah. The
I also
Catholic
love
Church
how
and
supportive
the
of
French,
white
the French king and the Pope went against them because they owed money to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That's gonna have to be next theme night. First pirates and now knights.
And then medieval
Oh, medieval. That would be really good.
or
Okay.
night. I mean, whatever.
I'm
Either
liking
way.
it. I just like to dress up, so whatever. I'm a big costume person too. Whatever. So you say you talk about your team, your team. So what does that consist of?
I have been a director of South Jersey Ghost Research
Okay.
for, I believe it's 28 years. They're one of the oldest groups in the country. They go back to 1955.
Oh, wow.
So when I started, one of the one and only founder of the original team was still in the group. So I learned a lot of stuff from her.
Huh.
I learned how you put the client first. I learned that when you're in someone's house, you're not there to get the best DVP or the best picture or any of that. You're there to whatever they need. If they need proof that there's something going on or they want to know who it is, whatever they want, that's what you're there for. If you happen to get something, that's great. But even just how you use equipment, I don't go in and I bring a REM pod into a private house. I put it in the middle of a room, on a bed, in a hallway, and that's it. I don't ask a spirit to go touch it. I don't ask a spirit to light anything up because you're training a spirit in a home that telling them it's okay to mess with the electronics in the home.
Right.
And you're teaching them how to do it. So when you leave, what you've taken the REM pod with you, now what are they going to start trying to light up and turn on? So using the equipment different ways, it may not be as fun because you're not getting that, that interaction as we do when we're going to like a historical place, but you're still getting what you need for the, the client. There's movement in that room right now. So, okay, then maybe you go, then you do EVPs in there, you take pictures, but it's a much different atmosphere. And I don't know if I would have come to that place of understanding that as quickly or if ever, if I hadn't worked with her. Because now I train everybody and I make them, when we do little pop quizzes or tests, like what a piece of equipment can't you bring into a private house? Just give me one. And the ghost box is a big one. The obelisk, things like that, things that you can't predict what it's about to say because you don't know when the client's listening. I've had clients put recorders just down in a room that you don't realize they've left recording. So you think you're alone and they're recording everything where the obelisk is saying devil and death and all different kinds of crazy stuff. And they're hearing all that. Or EVPs or over the ghost box where you hear something, but they hear something completely different and you can't convince them otherwise. They've heard it and that's it. So what did they hear? I mean, just think of the famous Get Out. People hear Get Out, they hear Amityville Horror stuff and they're running out the door. I tell people that you hear Get Out, that's 2 words out of the sentence. Suppose it's saying get out the cards. I want to play poker. And we only recorded 2 of those words. The context means everything.
Get out, the house is on fire.
To a client when you're sitting in their house and they hear Get Out come out of this piece of equipment, they're not going to buy that rationalization. No. They heard Get Out, the for sale sign's going up, and they're going to go sleep at a hotel. So that's just, are you really there to help the people? Then if you're willing to chance that, are you really there to help them? And a lot of people don't think about it, so they're not doing it maliciously. But there are people that do know better, and they're doing it anyway because they want that instant gratification. They want to hear the voices go back and forth. The fact that they're in someone's house is just an opportunity to do another ghost hunt someplace that probably no one else has done before.
No.
They're looking at totally different motivations for it. So it's when I do my ghost hunting 101 classes, I teach that too, where it's the equipment. There's 2 ways to use it. One's for regular investigations, one's for, homes. And then, then there's ways, not to be stupid about it,
Yeah, sure.
Things you don't ask.
Had one of the an obelisk go off, and the client came in the room and said Michael on the obelisk. I'm like, Michael. She starts freaking out. That's my effing ex-husband. He's dead. No. He's haunting me now. And I'm like, oh no, what happened here? And she thought her ex-husband, he's not welcome here. We're gonna get the exorcist here. Oh man, she just freaked out, and because he was an abusive man, and he ended up dying of a heart attack while he was beating her. He died of a heart attack. Oh my gosh! Yeah, and that how. And then she got, years later, she got remarried and everything. But when she got remarried, activity started up. So that's why she thought it was him. And it was.
She didn't want to hear anything else. Like it's a word bank. Many people are named Michael.
In the middle of an investigation, when you're doing that, is not the right time for them to be getting any kind of information yet, because you haven't sorted through it. Maybe at the end, if you did a report for them, you would have included Michael in there. But you've had time to go through everything else, digest it. You're not sitting in the dark in their house at the moment. There's separation, and that's like a perfect example of something that suddenly pops up and it just pushes buttons that you really don't need pushed at that particular moment.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't bring any, like you said, recorders and stuff like that. You can't because of stuff like that, because you get reactions like what this woman got to my ex-husband. She starts cursing and screaming and everything.
Even digital recorders. I know a lot of people like to play back to see if they got anything, EVPs. We don't do that. We'll listen to them when we get home.
Yeah.
That way, no chance of anyone overhearing anything, unless you got earbuds or something in where you can listen to it privately. I don't let anyone do that because I don't want to run the risk of anybody hearing it. Clients get up and they move around, even though we kind of ask them to stay in one central area. You don't know who's behind you in the dark or walking by the door on their way to the bathroom, or something like that. Poor timing, and that could make a world of difference for those people that something unintended was to come across that and misinterpreted.
Or they start whispering behind you and you're like, what's going on? And it's like, is that an EVP? No, and it's like the client's whispering to somebody next to them because they don't want to interfere, but they're interfering by whispering. Now you don't know. So I don't like doing a house with a client in it. I usually try to, move them out of the room or something.
See, we make them stay in the house because they're part of the environment that activity is happening in. So we'll tell them, pick a room. You'll all stay here. Talk normal. Talk like you would. We'll let them go on their phones if they got like earbuds. But before that, they would sit in the dark and just sit there. If you guys want to talk normal. Don't whisper. If you're gonna get up, say, hey, I'm going up. I'm going down the hallway, whatever. That way, we know if one of our alarms gets tripped, we know you were heading down that direction. And we explain all that to them. We give them a sheet like before we come out to the investigation that covers all that stuff too. So like what to expect. But I know a lot of people. There's people that I've worked with that want the people out of the location completely, and it's like that doesn't. They're there when it's happening. Why would you want them out of the location completely?
Like the antenna it's like taking antenna off a radio. And what are you you're not going to get the sound in. So you leave them in the house because they may be attracted to what,
exactly. They may be a catalyst. And you remove them, you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Right. We might do it later to test the theory.
Do you use mediums or just technology? Do you use mediums and psychics also in your investigations in your team?
Here's my take on that. Everybody is psychic. Some people just don't realize it yet, or they've been psychic all their lives. Getting psychic impressions and just didn't know that's what they were. So there are people that are like born that way. I've been seeing stuff since I was 3. I see people. I can if I was a gun put to my head, I could do a mediumship reading. I can do cards. I can do all that stuff. I don't like how that makes me feel. It makes me feel uncomfortable. So I don't do that aspect of it. But there are other people that swear that they're sensitive as a stone, and then 5 years later they're writing psychic impression reports like 5 pages long because I encourage people to, if you're getting something, no matter how crazy it sounds in your head, no matter what it is, write it down because you don't know if it's going to make sense. We had a house where it was an upstairs bedroom and people were getting hungry. And each team wrote down that they were feeling hungry in this room. And they didn't know. They didn't communicate with each other. It turns out that room was an illegal second-floor mother-in-law suite where they had an oven, a stove all put in. And that's where the mother-in-law spent all her days cooking and baking. So is that now, that's a strange, coincidence that one person from every team that went up there in that room only suddenly felt hungry, but they were confident enough to write down that saying, okay, this is coming out of nowhere. Let me just make a note of that. That's a psychic impression. And when they get that validation, now the next time something pops up, they're a little more confident, and we slowly build up that confidence to where I don't run around calling anyone like psychic necessarily. I use the word sensitive because to me it's better, because some people are just dialed up automatically. Other people have to dial it up slowly on their own. And we all have the ability. It's all that intuition stuff that, we don't understand as part of the psychic ability. We just understand it as something else. But once we kind of train them to understand this and to have confidence and trust, and we're not going to laugh at you when you're coming up with something, something crazy, that sounds like totally out of left field. We're going to say, hey, this is possible. This might be something.
I love that. And I love that you use it in your investigation as well. So thanks for that, Dave.
Yeah, we hit the 2-hour mark. So,
oh my gosh, that went so fast.
Dave, how can they get your equipment or anything that you want to advertise? Or
I think everything comes off of either Facebook, where you can check out my Facebook page. It's Dave Giuliano. There's a David one that's me too, but that's like the fan page that I don't even go on and use it. So it's it's just Dave Giuliano, and then the ghosthunterstore.com will take you to the store, and everything's linked off of there to like the haunted explorations and all the events and everything. And
that's awesome.
Everything's all tied together.
And try Shadowlands, everybody. Just do it and bring it up. All right. We really are a little over 2 hours right now.
Oh my gosh.
We had such a great time. Dave, I want to thank you for coming on. Stay on a little bit afterwards. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. This was very informative and
thank you.
Awesome. And
we got to do it again. This was a good time.
Yeah, fun. Definitely. We'll see you at I guess
White Hill.
White Hill. Yeah, I'm going to stop in by White Hill for at least a visit if I can't get a booth there. So I want to say again, thank you, Dave. Thank you to my my other host here. I want to thank the audience. You guys were all great tonight with the questions and everything. So I just want to say thank you for showing. And you got to make sure when you guys go on an investigation, you got to make sure you're safe, because you want to look for ghosts. You want to be a ghost. Ciao, familia. Forget about it. Hey, good night.
Good night, everyone.
Hey, how you doing?